Hello, thank you for joining us here at UFOAZ Talks. I'm your host, Jim Nichols. What is UFOAZ Talks? Well, it's a live public access television show that looks at the phenomena of UFOs. And we call it AZ because it's based here in Arizona in part, and also because we look at the UFO phenomena from A to Z. And you can see from the list of names here beside me the many, many people we've had on our program to look at the UFO enigma. We're trying to understand exactly what this phenomenon is all about. We haven't got all the answers as yet, but if you stay with us, I'm sure you'll be intrigued by some of the incredible stories and investigations that we've looked at. So stay with us.
Well, thank you for showing up. It's Friday night, and it's UFOAZ Talks. It's another Friday night, guys, another show. It's like David Letterman said the other night, it's the 6,000th show. Not really.
Can you say that?
No, I can't say that, and it's not true either. 6,000.
6,000.
Real quick before we get into the show, this guest, we first met Travis about 3 years ago in Tucson, Arizona. He came down to help out a friend of ours at the Blue Millennium to do a show. He came down with Mike Rogers and to a group of people. Then he kind of went into hiatus to finish his book. He promised us as soon as the book was out he'd be back. We met him in Mesquite. We asked him about the book. He says it's coming out, and finally we have a chance to have Travis Walton of the Fire in the Sky, the abduction case that's been, what, Travis, 20 years ago?
Coming up on 20 years.
Coming up on 20 years. I want to thank you for being on the show. Sorry that Mike couldn't make it. We also had Kenny that was going to show up, and somehow he didn't make it, but I'm glad that you took the time to come on out and come on down and be on the show. I know that a lot of people have been waiting to hear exactly what's been going on with Fire in the Sky, and so do we.
Yep.
You had a chance to interview Travis because there was history we were looking for with the APRO thing, Jim, about 6 months ago.
Yeah, we did an interview in Mesquite where we talked about APRO, and I think, did we include that in our APRO program?
Yes, we did
Yes,
include
we
it
did.
in the APRO program.
It's been so long ago. What was really interesting is that right after the film came out, you came to Tucson and we did a presentation at the Universalist Church, but we weren't allowed to tape it because of contractual arrangements with Paramount and the film, as I understand it. And so we've been kind of hamstrung in getting you on our show here. So it's a treat to have you here at long last.
Nice to join you.
And also, I think one of the things we want to talk about tonight is the fact that our good friends at Paramount didn't quite tell your story the way it really was.
No,
and
not
I
quite.
think we'd like to clarify that a bit and give you a chance to clarify what actually happened on board the craft. But before we get into that, let's just kind of review exactly who, what, where, when did this thing happen, what exactly happened.
Well, this happened in November of 1975. There was a crew of 7 of us working in the mountains up in northern Arizona, and we just finished a day's work, and we're on our way home, and it was starting to get dark when we spotted the object.
Okay, now we have a lot of people out here, and if we can, I don't know whether we can get some volume out here, or if you could speak up a little bit more so that they don't come over here and sit right in front of our cameras right here.
All right, I promise to speak up.
Well, this is one of one of the most celebrated UFO cases, and not just in Arizona, nationally. You know, this made national news. And you disappeared for how many days?
5 days and 6 hours.
Okay, you were gone for that length of time. You left, how many of your friends were with you in the truck?
There were 6 other men besides myself.
And within like 24, 48 hours, there was some question of whether they had murdered you.
Yeah.
And hidden your body in the forest up there.
Yeah, when they went to report it to the authorities, you know, the sheriff and his men could see that these men were still very traumatized, but this story was just, you know, too much to...
Too fantastic.
Yeah, so they, you know, the logical conclusion for them was, aha, they made up this story to cover up for having...
But they did
murdered and
all pass the polygraph tests, I believe.
Yeah,
didn't
the state police.
So
polygraph
that was,
test.
you know, they were sort of at a loss as to what to think about that, I would imagine.
One of the members in the audience asked that one of the shows that are recently played, they asked, there was some discrepancy about somebody that didn't pass one of the polygraph tests. Is it true that they didn't necessarily pass it, or was it that it became inconclusive?
Well, it was ruled inconclusive officially because he got up in the middle of the test. You know, they run 3 or 4 charts, and they'd already run a couple, and he got up in the middle of the 3rd run or something and stormed out.
Who was that?
Alan Dowse. He was upset at being accused of murder. But I recently got a hold of the police file on this, and an internal report, they said that he had passed his test, you know, especially in regard to the UFO question. But, you know, the procedure being what it was, the fact that he didn't complete it, they, for public consumption, ruled it inconclusive. I guess it would have been a little bit too strong in the news for them to come out and say they all passed, you know. I don't know. It would have been nice if they had reported that. I think it was in 1 or 2 newspaper articles, I remember. But Alan recently was retested using some of the most sophisticated equipment, and passed. Also, Mike Rogers was retested, and I took 2 more tests at that time too.
You know, this took, what'd you say, 5 days or 4 days?
The abduction.
It was 5 days and 6 hours.
5 days and 6 hours. Now, in the movie, they show you naked and it's raining and you're in a phone booth.
It wasn't raining, I wasn't naked, I was in a phone booth.
One out of 3.
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Right.
All right. Then how close after that effect, after you made the phone call to Mike, I think, or to your brother, Mike's brother?
Well, it was actually to my brother-in-law, who was the only relative that had a phone at that time. And he carried the message to my brother, and they came and got me.
What was the distance between Heber and where you were picked up, if you were to draw a straight line across?
Oh, 15 miles, 10, 15 miles. Hard to say straight across.
And you were very dehydrated. That was the main thing that you said, that you were very dehydrated.
Yeah.
Did you recall any food being eaten or any water?
I recall no food, no liquid. I was only conscious for a very brief period of time, you know, and even that period of time is really hard to estimate the length of that because I was just so hysterical, you know, the whole time that it was...
You mean conscious on board the craft?